Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Supply Chain Circuit. This is our space to talk about the real shifts happening in supply chain and logistics beyond the buzzwords and grounded in real world experience. I am Deepika Garg, VP and Head of Sales at CargoFL, and I'm excited to bring you our second episode. Today's conversation is about AI for sustainability and regulatory compliance in supply chains. As supply chain become more global, regulated, sustainability and compliance are no longer parallel conversation. They are deeply interconnected. And increasingly, AI is becoming the force that brings them together in a meaningful and measurable way. So before we dive in, a quick note about us. So CargoFL is an AI-driven supply chain logistics platform that helps organizations digitize operations, improve visibility, and make smarter data-driven decisions. So you can learn more about us at www.cargofl.com. Now, through the supply chain circuit, our goal is to create thoughtful conversations around the technologies and strategies shaping the future of supply chain. So, coming to today's guest, I am truly delighted to join by Dr. Chandan, Vice President and Head of Supply Chain and Operational Excellence at Aragen Life Science. Dr. Chandan brings over 24 years of experience across planning, procurement, logistics, and operations, and has been a strong champion of digital transformation and sustainable supply chain management, particularly in pharma and CRDMO space. His work span AI enabled sourcing, ESG integration, regulatory compliance, and building future ready supply chain ecosystem. So, welcome, Mr. Chandan.
Thank you, Deepika. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank Deepesh, you, and all at CargoFL for giving me this opportunity.
We also have with us Mr. Deepesh Kurrupath, CEO and founder of CargoFL, who comes with over 2 decades of experience in technology, a technologist turned entrepreneur. He is passionate about solving meaningful problems and embracing challenges that push boundaries and create real world impact. So, Deepesh, welcome back to our supply chain circuit.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you, Chandan, for joining this podcast.
So,
Thank
guys,
you.
in this episode, we will explore how AI is enabling organizations to move from reactive supply chain management to predictive, sustainability driven operations, while also strengthening the regulatory compliance, traceability, and audit readiness in highly regulated industries like pharma. So, if you are listening in and working in supply chain operations, sustainability, or compliance, this conversation is especially relevant for you. And if you find value in it, feel free to share it with your network. The recording will always be available on our YouTube and on our CargoFL LinkedIn page. So, with that, let's get started. So, Chandan, to start us off, sustainability and compliance today are no longer nice to have, right? So, from your perspective, why have they become foundational to modern supply chain, especially in pharma and CRDMO, that is Contract Research Manufacturing Organization?
As you rightly said, Deepika, first of all, I want to thank you, CargoFL, for organizing this panel discussion on such an important and forward-looking topic. Because you have tried to bring the most important and relevant context in today's discussion by merging AI, sustainability, and regulatory compliance. I am very sure we are not only talking about regulatory compliance from the farmer perspective, but regulatory compliance as an organization, because that's what a responsible organization need to do. So why is it important? One, Deepesh definitely will agree with me. Sustainability is no more good to have, nice to have kind of a topic. It's going to be a mandatory requirement both from the government agencies, regulatory agencies, and also from the customers. I was reading in certain articles based on certain research studies, which says the consumers are also looking at going more with the products and the organizations who are more responsible in their behaviors. So sustainability is something which is going to create differentiators for the organization, and for industry like pharma and CRDMO, this is all the more important because the kind of operations we do, which is highly energy intensive, dealing with chemicals. So it's important we do the operations which are more responsible and responsive in both efficiency as well as how we deal with environment, society around us. Regulatory compliance, I don't think we need to speak much about its significance as far as pharma industry is concerned. We deal with medicines, we deal with human lives. So it's very important we follow all the kind of checks and balances in what we do, not only in how we do, but also in terms of other standards like complying with the documentation, complying with the operating standards and quality standards. So technology in today's scenario is going to play a very critical role in ensuring the organizations are driving sustainability and regulatory compliance effectively in a transparent manner, and also making it more credible when they claim of certain standards or certain compliances. Lastly, I would like to say AI is definitely a important technology which organizations can adopt to not only improve their sustainability standards but also act as a guardian for regulatory compliance.
Thanks, Chandan. So, Dipesh, if we consider your experience in logistics, so would like to know from you, like how this trend is across all the industry, if we are not only specifically talking about the pharma.
So AI is being adopted across different organizations in a very fast-paced manner, right? Because AI is seeping in across all industries, especially when it comes to logistics and supply chain. There are hundreds of use cases where you can apply AI and deliver value from it. And one of the use cases is the ESG sustainability use case, right? So, with a lot of data that is available now, it's very easy for us to understand what kind of compliances we are adhering to, what we're missing out, right? So there are two things which we have to be aware of here. One, from a government perspective, across the globe, across different countries, different governments are creating different policies. Okay, and they want to enforce these policies. That's the priority number one from a government perspective. From a business perspective, every business across the world has to adopt to it because it's now coming as part of the compliance thing. So how do they bake those things into operational excellence is what businesses are all looking for. So they want to use AI for that purpose. Given that we have all this data that's available with us, how can we use that data, bake that into the process, make the process efficient, derive intelligence, smart recommendations using AI is a level one how technology is being implemented across different businesses across the globe. So I think Deepika, that's where the thing starts from when you start looking from ESG perspective.
Yes, yes, correctly. You have like mentioned about how the AI plays a role in this. So, Dipesh, my question is to you again now. When we meet supply chain leaders and CXOs during our conversation, so they talk about transparency also, right? So they want a data and they want transparency also, and they don't want to dependent on any third party. Like they don't want to depend on their team, and they don't want to depend upon the transporters or any third party. So how AI can help them and how AI can provide them the transparent data without being dependent on any third party or any person basically.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. See, data has been an oil for last, like we have been saying this for last 15 years. Data is a new oil. That was a concept that came way back in 2011, 2012, when big data technologies were in place. Then around 2017, we started using more machine learning. So we evolved from big data to machine learning. Then in 2021, 2022, we had this AI, ChatGPT, and the conversational AI or the LLMs that came into picture, right? Which is a wrapper on top of these machine learning algorithms also. So with these technologies, you can make data mining much more easier and faster and make data available for enterprises to leverage on. And how that is done, there are big data lakes. Then you write adapters, which take data from your transactional database. These are then pushed into a data lake. And then you have AI algos, which work on those data lakes and they create meaningful recommendations. Now, before that part is done, to maintain data integrity, data consistency, right? And also to operate within the DPDP guidelines of the government, data privacy and data protection guidelines in India, which has just come recently, similar to GDPR, how it is in Europe. There are adapters which obfuscate that data, which mask that data, and then on that data, the AI algorithms run. They create the recommendations. Then those recommendations are retranslated back into original data components by different adapters, which can sit outside the context of that particular AI and then that is made available to the business. So that way their data is safe, secure. It's the transparency is ensured because there is no more human intervention going in there. There's an AI bot which is looking into it. Now, if you go one step further, these all bots, these all algos are running within your private data cloud. That makes it much more safer. If I take it one more step further, even there are open source tooling available for OpenAI and all these tools like Claude, Gemini. So if you have your own data engineers, your data scientists, your LLM engineers especially, they can download that open source into their environment, run it within their private cloud. So there's no data even going outside, right? So that's the third level that you can put it from a data integrity perspective. Another level, if you want to take it further, then what happens is your engineering can also build on top of these LLMs, whatever they're giving it, and make it much more robust and intelligent. So there are different ways in which you can protect your data. You can conceal your original data, your transactional data, by masking and obfuscation and all those concepts, and be very safe. And rest be assured is not shared to the external world. One more point which I want to add is, compared to healthcare applications or finance applications, which need internet data so that you can understand trends. In logistics and supply chain, you don't need that. You can still operate it within your data points. For example, if we look at Aragen's case, right? Aragen's way of operation is very different from their competitors. It can happen, right? Because you operate in a very different way. You have your own USP. So then your data will be very different than your competitors' data. So the AI that we can build for Aragen can be very custom. So that way also that data implementation is completely isolated. It's not connected to any data in the internet. It's all connected to internal data for last 10 years. So that's how that makes AI much more safer implementation from a data perspective.
Okay. So we are saying here that data availability is there. Now, how AI is helping it? AI is reading it, classifying it, providing the meaningful information to the client so that they can make a better decision making. Right. So, Chandan, as you are a leader in the supply chain, so what are the some of the most significant shifts you have personally observed in the expectations around the transparency and responsibility over the past few years?
So, Deepika, when we are talking about data transparency, the it flows around. I think it has gone into a much more matured phase. There is a lot more expectations today with the technology onset and digitalization happening around. Everybody expects you to have two things. One, the data should be available fast, and it should be available in a meaningful manner. uh, Deepesh rightly said there is a lot of data for organizations like Aragen. We have so much of internal data, but how do you pull out the information out of noise also matters. So for me, when we say data transparency, it is how fast it is available, in how right format it is available, and then the traceability or the integrity of that data. Can I trace it back to origin and also monitor the changes that data has undergone? Because the credibility of the data is not only at the visibility point but also how it has evolved from its origin. So that is there. I think over the period, over the last few years, the expectation of people is not only to have data but a credible data point. One definitely meaningful but a credible data point which they can link it and take it to more decision making activities. Just for example, if today I am claiming, say my OTIF is at certain percentage, then what am I claiming from the OTIF percentage? Am I claiming from the requirement arising at my user's end to the delivery point, or I am claiming from the point of I placed an order to my supply partners and at their supply point? So say they supplied on time, but for some reasons, for logistics reason, I did not deliver it on time to my users, or they did not execute the project on time, and in turn my customer did not get the project delivered on time. So how do I read the OT? So the OT should always be at the customer point of view. Did my customer project happen on time? So when I say OT, can I break it into these three phases? The upstream phase, then my partner, supply partner phase, and downstream phase. So when I say transparency, it is definitely the availability, but more than that, how meaningful it is, can I slice it down, and how credible it is. And the shift what I am seeing is people are talking more about credible data, and that's where the technology is coming into play, because it helps you to process the data in its form, ensuring the integrity of the data and also the availability of the data.
Yes, so very well explained,
Very well
Chandan.
explained, Chandan. So,
So whenever I talk to CXO or supply chain leader, so I have also observed that they are more keen on emissions also. So like what kind of carbon footprints they are generating. And they are considering that as a part of sustainability. But we also know that sustainability is not only related with emissions or not only related with carbon footprints. What is the broader aspect or broader version of sustainability? So, if you can explain this to us, so it will be helpful for the audience also and for us also. Like, which all are the other parts that are important in sustainability, other than only and only focusing on emissions?
I think it's a very, very good question, Deepika, because there is no toning down on the significance of emissions. 100% we all have to acknowledge that's one of the most reliable metrics today to measure any organizations, or for that matter, any sustainability effort or initiative. It can be measured in emissions. But as I'm saying, it's a metric. We need to treat it as a metric on what stage or what maturity level your sustainability journey is. But when we say sustainability as a whole, there are multiple aspects to it. And these are many times guided or governed by the various certification agencies, various statutory agencies who do a lot of research and lot of guideline work around sustainability. And some of it, like many of these have been adopted by Aragen. Today, Aragen is one of the first organization operating in India, a India-based organization to have EcoVadis Platinum rating, which is a very global achievement, I would say. Likewise, we have also have CDP supplier engagement score of A, which is leadership level. And then we have ISO 14001, we have OSHA's 18001, which are various other metrics. So when we try to see all these metrics, at a very higher level, sustainability can be defined into multiple aspects. One is the documentation aspects. Do you have right kind of policies? Do you have right kind of authorities defined to drive sustainability within your organization? Is sustainability integrated into your day-to-day working in terms of policies? So when you talk about, say, new joinee training, do you train them on sustainability aspect? When you onboard a new supplier into your ecosystem, do you assess them on sustainability? Or does your leadership have KRAs around sustainability? So how well you can document it and make it part of your management processes and controls. That's one element of it. Second element of it is proof of action. You have a good documentation, you have made it well, very good. But what's the proof of action of its implementation and its impact? So proof of action of implementation is, do you have metrics? Do you have scorecards, dashboards? Aragen is one of the first organization to have a sustainability scorecard, not only for our own supply chain, but also for our supply partners, which is published in our annual sustainability report. It's available in the public domain. That helps us to measure our sustainability journey. So proof of action is needed, its impact is needed. Third is a improvement journey, or say what we can say is the improvement focus. Are you upgrading your targets year on year? Are you showing a continuous improvement? Otherwise, you take a lower target and achieve it and then maintain it for next few years. I don't think it is going to work. Excuse me. Yeah. So that's the third element of it. And then the fourth element is sustenance and awareness. Are you training, putting your efforts in training, training your employees, training your supply partners, and then the awareness? Are you incentivizing the people who are driving sustainability journey? So when we talk about sustainability, it has to be more of wholesome effort rather than only about reducing emissions through some energy conservation, or through some fuel replacement. I think definitely these are something high impact things which any organization can do, but how you can make it inherent long term through the processes, through the documentations, through training, and through metrics is something which I believe will be contributing to sustainability in a larger way.
Yes, thank you so much, Chandan. So thanks for explaining us like how what are the other aspects of sustainability. So Dipesh, you will definitely agree to me this. Like whenever we talk to the leaders or whenever we talk to the clients, so when we speak about the emissions, so there also is a topic around the route optimization and load consolidation or the shipment consolidation, because they are directly linked with the emissions control. Not only with the emissions control, but the most important thing is the freight cost savings also. Like if we are doing the proper route optimization, load consolidation, we are saving our freight cost, and as well as we are saving the emissions also. So Dipesh, as you have built AI tools and you have developed so many technologies also around this, so what do you think, like how AI tools and how the technology can help in route optimization, shipment consolidation that ultimately leads towards the emissions control as well as the freight cost savings?
Yeah, yeah. So, I see, Deepika, so there are three stages which we have to look at, right? The level one is always digitization, where we say every company has to first digitize. They need to make sure all the processes are digital. The data entry is going in good way into the system. So that brings in clean data into the system. So that's the stage number one. Stage number two is automation. Once you have the digital steps in place, you automate it, right? So automation is maybe if someone was taking 5 steps to get to 6 step, can we directly take him to the 6 step where you automate the step number 1 to 5? That can also happen through digital technologies. It may be AI or may not be AI. You can achieve that automation in place. Third step is optimization. That is where machine learning and AI actually comes and plays a very major role. So digitization, automation, optimization. So within optimization, you have load consolidation, load optimization, route optimization. You have demand forecasting that you can optimize, your supplier collaboration that you can optimize, your routing you can optimize, tracking you can optimize. All those things you can keep on optimizing, and that finally leads to a a stage where your ESG reporting becomes highly optimized, right? So instead of just looking at a static report of ESG, where you have a report, someone goes to a meeting, then you come up with some points, and then you discuss on those points, and then you take actions. So it's more of a signal-driven process where the level one, level two, level three, level one feeds to level two feeds to level three, and then level three again feeds signals which will automate your ESG reporting process. Okay, so that's a maturity that we have to put into our product, into the organization's process to get to that efficiency. So yes, ESG reporting can be optimized, automated, but you have to take it through these steps to get there.
Yes, so as we are speaking about emissions, we are talking about implementing AI tools, we are talking about route optimization, load consolidation. But what we have seen, like during my experience or during the implementation of the digital solutions at client location, so what we have seen that there is always a resistance on the ground level. People, they hesitate whenever a new solution is being implemented. They are afraid, okay, it will, it will take their control, or their data or their work will become more transparent. So, Chandan, as you have mentioned that you guys have implemented so many AI tools and you guys are kind of a technology leader. So, how have you deal with all these kind of challenges? So, and what are the other kind of
And what are
challenges
the other kinds
you've seen?
of things? So, Deepika, Deepesh definitely did mention if you are adopting technology, what kind of data preparedness you need to do. I think another critical element of any technology adoption is how do you do the change management, especially from the people perspective. And nothing to take away. I think it's the most significant aspect. And I am aware of a lot of best of technology tools not being implemented effectively or could not succeed in delivering uh, could not succeed in delivering the necessary output, irrespective of the solution being very good. And the whole key was around the people adaptation to that technology. And usual resistance would come from the layer which is at the bottom of the organization pyramid, or the bottom two three layers, where that insecurity can be slightly more. Unfortunately, nowadays technologies are very easily linked to job losses, right? So there is a good amount of insecurity, and as you mentioned, there is some kind of challenges on transparency. Some people feel their control, their authority may get diluted if they are accepting the technology. So we also faced that challenge, and but the best part was we did some few things which I can share here, and I am hopeful it will be helpful for certain audiences. One is we tried a bottom-up approach. We tried involving people in understanding the problem statement. Solutioning is secondary. Understanding the problem statement. Like when we try to speak to the people, we told them, by say example, I have a team which is doing procurement, and I asked them, why are you not able to spend more time on negotiations or vendor sourcing? And their response was, no, many times a lot of my time goes in the follow-up. A lot of my time goes in finding out who submitted the code. A lot of my time goes in formatting the quotations. And then we said, if we are able to automate this, or if this can come in a ready way, do you think you can do spend more time on negotiations? And the answer was instantaneously yes. And then we said, if you are able to negotiate better, you will become more valuable for the organization. That's how the value proposition was created for each role. Secondly, was we made sure there was a very clear communication, or I would say more than communication, assurance from management, no job loss. Nobody will be fired even if the efficiency is created or productivity is improved. Nobody will be fired. And I can honor that statement saying that though we are one of the most technology driven CRDMO organization with fully P2P thing, we have not fired anybody just because we had excess manpower. There is the Aragen is a growing organization. There is enough work for everybody, and we are able to use them better. So that was the second thing where there was a benefit of assurance from the management. Third thing what we did was how do we create a lot of awareness around it, the value proposition. By doing this, individually you are getting benefited, but how as an organization we will get benefited. And fourth thing was incentivizing. We created project teams. We created incentives around not only implementation but also on adoption. Like we started measuring the people who are using the solution more and started acknowledging and rewarding them. Same way we did it with our supply partners. Partners who have adopted our solution better were incentivized and they were actually appreciated. So 4 or 5 things we have done, but yeah, I can tell you it's a journey. It did not happen on day zero, and there is a good amount of time and efforts and conviction which was needed. But very happy to inform, gradually once you train people on one solution or another, then their adaptability improves. When you are doing it for first time, the resistance is much higher as compared to when you do it third time or fourth time. Now people understand Aragen is a technology driven organization and we are going to adopt technology. So the conversations are much more mature. People try to understand why are we doing this rather than trying to just resist. So they come openly and ask, we are trying to do this. How is it going to benefit us and organization? So I think it's a cultural shift. But yes, there are efforts which are needed from the management to, in a very convincingly and in a very committed manner, drive this change management.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chandan, for explaining about the challenges and how challenges has been managed at the Region Life Science during the implementation of the digital tool. So, so as we we have the Deepesh has talked to many of the supply chain leaders, and the data is now made readily available for the supply chain leaders, right? So they can track their shipments, they can do the route optimization, they can see what happened to the shipment and all. So data availability is 100% there. And AI, with the help of AI, we are helping them in taking the better decisions, so that they can see that, okay, what is happening here, how can I leverage this. So Dipesh, my question is to you, that what do you think, like, this data and AI has really enabled the supply chain leaders, in which way and how?
Yeah, Deepika, very good question. So, see, data is the backbone of all the decisions that you take, right? So before AI, maybe we were downloading the data in Excel. We were using some pivot tables. We will create some data points. We'll go to a meeting, and then we were taking all those decisions in a very static way. But now with AI tools, it's very easy for us to mine that data, understand patterns, and AI tools can recommend, saying that no, these are the good decisions and this is the impact that you can have with the data, right? So that's a very big change we have seen based on these AI technologies. It's very easy to predict, it's very easy to get recommendations, it's very easy to get signals from that data. So yes, but the caveat there is, I think Chandan also touched upon this some time back. The caveat there is, this data has to be clean. It has to be good data. Okay, so getting that good data layer into the application requires some kind of discipline, and that organizational discipline is about training people, building that cultural shift, like just Chandan, what you mentioned some time back. Because people may not be entering data properly. Okay, they will be doing partial entries of data. So that's where the system has to be mature. The data goes in right. If your partial data is in some Excel sheets, that won't help. Okay, and then as you design systems, are you designing it for the right data points, which can later lead into efficiency? Okay, so how do you capture data is important. How do enrich your data is important. What kind of data points you bring in, that design element is important. And once you have all those things, then AI is a very powerful tool. You can put it to use. It can exactly tell you, for example, you can ask questions like, what if my supplier is delayed by 12 days? Okay, what if there is a 10% increase in my freight cost? So you can ask those questions and the AI can start giving value to it. But the underlying is all the data points have to be available. So that homework has to be done, that cleanup has to be done, that infrastructure has to be set up, and it has to be designed in a way that that data can be used for those kind of decision makings. So one way to do this, in my experience, is to always start top down, right? So there are two things, top down and bottom up. So we call it meet in the middle approach. Top down is where the system architect can sit with senior management, understand what they are trying to get to. Those have to be defined. And bottom up is where you can use that data to go up and then research and get to those points. So that takes it to.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you so much, Dipesh, for highlighting the importance of data and AI. So we have talked about emission, we have talked about route optimization, load consolidation. So just one viewpoint I want to have both of you, like, what do you think about future of supply chain? How do you see the supply chain more evolving toward the future?
Okay. So you want me to go first, Deepika, or?
Yes, yes, yes. You can go first, Chandan.
No, so Deepika, definitely supply chains are need to evolve. Definitely there is a lot of scope. According to me, for moving from efficiency or responsiveness, the supply chains need to be advanced more towards responsible and resilient supply chain. I think that would cover a good amount of sustainability, compliance, and resilience will definitely be driven by technology. At Aragen, definitely we are having a lot of combination of digital intelligence and environmental responsibility, which helps us to become resilient, agile, and future-ready CRDMO partner. But when we talk about supply chains of future, we also need to understand we will have to adopt a lot of technology. But when we adopt technology, it is not just about improving how we operate today. I think we will have to have what we call it as moonshot view of where we want to be, rather than being satisfied with what we are doing or incremental enhancements using technology. Supply chains will have to start thinking about being intelligent, being sustainable, and being compliant so that we can serve our customers much more responsibly and also at the same time take care of the environment and resources around us. And the key ingredient to this is going to be the kind of processes we have, kind of people we hire, kind of efforts we invest into training them, and then complement it with the right set of technology.
So thank you, Dr. Chandan. So Dipesh would like to know from your side also the future of supply chain.
The future of supply chain, I think, is very, very bright. I can speak from a tech perspective. There's a lot of technology tools available out there, and organizations can use these technology tools to optimize, their operational aspects also, and achieve significant productivity improvements and cost savings in next coming years. But yes, I do second what Chandan said. Before you put in those tools in place, you need to have your people, you need to have figured out your processes. And then when you add technology, it brings a lot of value. So in next couple of years, we'll see that technology is available abundantly for everyone. But how do we use that technology is where the differentiator will be. So yeah, so it's very bright. It's all about understanding how things are going to evolve in next 5 years and use those technologies in place there.
So thank you, Dipesh. So before we wrap up, so one takeaway you would like leaders listening today to remember when they think about AI, sustainability, and compliance together. Any advice that you want to give to the leaders? So, Dr. Chandan.
No, I would say please start looking at technology as an enabler and try to complement it with the right amount of resources internally, having good amount of processes, and look at more effective outcomes rather than just adoption.
Yeah, Dipesh, we also like to hear from you.
Yeah, so from my perspective also, I think we all should go back to whiteboard, take a couple of processes which are pain points within the organization, and see how we can put in the technologies in place to solve those pain points and make it better. So one brick at a time, one step at a time, slowly we can get to a point of maturity using the technologies out there to solve the problems.
Yeah, so definitely the first step would be that to find out the problems in your organization, in the organization itself, like what is the first thing that you want to solve, what is the first thing that you want to achieve, then only deploy the solution and go step by step. So I have seen, like, working with many organizations, they want to do everything at one go. That is not possible. So everything, it happens in one by one. So first we have to identify the major problem, and then we have to try to find out the provide the solution for that. So that was a very good thought for the day. So, and that's a wrap for today's session. And thank you to Dr. Chandan and Dipesh for a thoughtful and engaging conversation. We hope all of you watching us enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed hosting it. If this episode sparked a new idea or perspective, do join us again for the next one. And thank you so much again to join us for the supply chain circuit. Thank you, Dr. Chandan, and thank you, Dipesh. I will see you again.
Thank you, Deepika. Thanks, Deepesh.
Thank you.